Full house. I love it. I love it. I love it. So each of you have successful brands. We all want to know about the inspiration behind your brand. What inspired you to take the leap? We'll start with you, Gabriela.
Sure. My company started 15 years ago, and I have been a designer for the last 30 years. So I was doing design work for other people before I actually designed my own line. So that's kind of how that went about. I started doing projects for other companies, designing other lines, and I was inspired by my grandmother's antiques and things that I remembered as a child that I thought were neat and still had kind of a very romantic sense of a woman. And I wanted to kind of convey that as a designer with the pieces that I created. And I started with a tiny little lipstick, and that's how I started the line. And I really wasn't intending on really making a line out of it. It was kind of a side project for me because I still had my design firm. So it slowly, though, kind of took a life of its own, and I made another product and another, and it just kind of enveloped all of my time where I sold my design firm and just continued just to be creative director of my own company. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years. So that's kind of how that happened.
Hello. So I'm a professional celebrity makeup artist. I've been working the sets for over 20 years. And one of my projects was Dancing with the Stars. I created the look for the show. I was there from season 1 to 15. And one of my challenges on the show was the body makeup. Because those professional dancers, they love to spray tan, over spray tan actually. And the skin was just this like streaky, gray, green, blue, all sorts of craziness going on. And so I found myself just struggling on a daily to really make their bodies look amazing on camera because, of course, it's all about the body. And we had just started with HD TV. And so I need, and also we're coming out of this era of the 90s, which was kind of that like flat makeup, kind of like that no makeup. Lashes were like individuals, lips were like the spice pencil. And so we were really pushing glow, glam, glitter. So I also wanted the body makeup to be really gorgeous and glowy. But of course I had the challenge, I needed it to hydrate the skin because with sunless tanners in particular, they just really dehydrate your skin. But I needed it to have enough pigment to even out the skin, but I also needed it not to get all over the wardrobe, and if it did transfer, not stain. And there just wasn't anything on the market working for me, and out of frustration, I just mixed a whole bunch of stuff in the makeup trailer right there. The dancers themselves called it gleam. They would not go on the stage without the gleam. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. The PAs, everybody's like, where's the gleam? It is not going. And it just, when people started driving out to my house for little bits of it, I had gotten an inheritance. I was also very inspired by my family, and my great grandmother I was very close to. She had recently passed, and she had always said, make sure you use your inheritance to really do something special. And I found that to be the opportunity to go with it.
Hi, guys. So, yeah, I never know how to answer these questions because I usually just say whatever comes out and just whatever happens, happens. So I'm known as the Candy Queen. That's kind of a weird existence. It started, loving Willy Wonka as a kid. I was a latchkey kid at 6 years old. I always say, I was raised by Willy Wonka in the whole movie, and the premise of Charlie, and you didn't have a lot, but you were like a pretty decent person, and you kept dreaming big, and you found the coin that led to the golden ticket that led to, you get to go to the factory, and then you get the whole damn factory. So as a child, I was always like, that's amazing, and I'll be friends with Oompa Loompas, and it was something that just really spoke to me. And I was obsessed with candy and loved, I loved it so much to the point that by 15 I was 300 pounds. That's like a whole other side of my story. And then overcame that, and everything was a struggle, but I loved candy, sugar, a lot. And so, I have a very eclectic, crazy background, but loved creating. Was always an artist. And 10, 11 years ago, really started creating art with candy. And I was like, I love it so much, I can't stop eating it. So I'm gonna start making cool shit out of it. And I would make candy jewelry, candy dresses, like anything out of candy. And people would see me in my condo apartment, and like we were totally broke. And by that point I was super cliche, pregnant, broke. I'm like, oh, I'm a minority. So, you know, it was like, people would walk by and be like, what is that chick making? Like, what's that super pregnant lady making out of her candy? And I started making these really cool creations, and one day got a phone call. So crazy, but like launched a website. I always say I taught myself the internet. I was broke, so it wasn't a place of like, and then I had a credit line, and then I had a digital market, like none of that. I would just stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. Like, I'm gonna teach myself this shit called the internet, and like blogging, and this blogspot crap, and this face, and so that's like how it started. And I created a company. At that time, I shouldn't have done it, but launched a website, and I stole a bunch of photos from other people, and I was like, I was literally like, these photos are gorgeous, I'm gonna put it on my new website. And then very quickly, I had these women emailing me like death threats that were like, you better take my shit off your website. And I was like, I just thought it was pretty. I didn't know people think it was mine, but I guess I'm selling it like mine. And I was like, oh crap. So started creating and taking my own photos and creating my own work. And randomly got a phone call one day from some producers that are like, hey, we found your website. I'm like, full of fake photos. And so they're like, we found your website, and we're looking for a counterpart to Cake. Do you guys know Cake Boss Buddy on TLC? So they're like, we love Buddy, Cake Boss. I was like, oh, I lived in Hoboken, and like I'm from LA, but I moved to New York, and that's another part of my story. But they're like, yeah, we'd love a female counterpart to him, and you do all this cool stuff with candy. And I was like, yeah, kind of. Went and met with TLC in the room, and was like emotional enough and full of enough personality, and sold a show in the room with these producers. And people, you know, at that point, like I learned how to use, like, television gave me an opportunity that was massive. They're like, we're gonna give you your own show, pregnant chick that cries all the time. And so that happened, and I used that platform to do what I do and like spread the good word of what I love, which is candy art. And just it's really more about making people happy. Candy is this universal thing. Candy, chocolate, sweets makes people feel good. So I kind of launched my stuff when the economy tanked. Everyone was miserable and very sad. And I was like, I'm gonna launch this candy stuff. Then the show happened. That led to one opportunity in Asia, and I started this other concept, and then this thing in China. I probably didn't even answer your question or whatever it was, but at this point, like this is like where I started and how it started. The point was, I just wanted to make people happy. So, you know, like most of us, I have a crazy story, which will be 17 hours if I tell it all, which I'm sure will be a book one day, but my mom will be the only person that buys it, but who cares? So no, it's a crazy journey, but I think that under all that, I just wanted to make people happy, and sweets and sugar does that, and it's kind of harmless. I always say no one's pissed at the Candy Queen ever. But yeah, the TV platform was cool, and built one brand, Hollywood Candy Girls, and it's an event company. If you guys are in the event world out here, we do a lot of events and catering and do like sweets on steroids at great parties. And then Candytopia is my other company that's this big ass pop-up. Cool. Yeah, thank you. It's like Museum of Ice Cream, if you guys are familiar with that on Insta. So Candytopia launched that thing in Asia like 7-8 years ago under a different name. And then I had another opportunity in China a few years ago. My dream was to do that experiential immersive pop-up in the US. US wasn't ready for it like 7-8 years ago. About 2.5 years ago when Museum of Ice Cream launched, I was like, oh my God, my shit's here. And you know, I like called my manager and I was like, we gotta open in the US, and met the right people. I always say like timing, patience, persistence, kept pushing. Everyone calls you crazy when you do stuff that's out of the box. Crazy to me is a big compliment. No problem, because you know, we're here now and we keep going, but that's kind of where it all started. Yeah, thanks.
I just want you to keep going, honestly. Your story sounds great. No, I can't wait to read your book. Okay, well, I'm Demi. I launched an online fashion brand called 12th Tribe, and I started it on complete, just total accident, to be frank. I graduated from San Diego State when I was 22, And my lease was up in San Diego. I was staying at my friend's apartment. Someone broke into my car, stole my stuff. I was like, I'm getting out of San Diego. I had a boyfriend in San Diego though, so my life was still there. However, I went back to Northern California. I'm from the East Bay, and went home to figure out my life post-graduation. Every, I think, young girl and, well, human being is just so confused on what they want to do. I was at home and I got a phone call from my boyfriend at the time who broke up with me out of nowhere. So I was like, well, I'm not going back to San Diego. It's time to figure out what I'm going to do. And my dream job had presented itself with an opportunity to interview with them. So I took a phone call to have an interview with my dream company and missed the phone call. And we played phone tag and never were able to connect. And I was actually pretty upset about it because I really only wanted to work one place. And in the midst of going back and forth with this employer, I decided to just build a website. I had a blog in college. This is when like blogging had just started, but honestly, my blog at the time was nothing special. It was really just for my own sake of style gallery, I guess, but it was more so like my personal diary where I just dumped everything on my mind about my shitstorm of a life. Wanted to inspire people, so it was a lot of motivational quotes and then a random outfit pic. And, you know, I really didn't think anyone was looking at that. However, I stayed up all night one of the nights and made a website, like you, just figured out how to figure out the internet. And my mom thought I was insane. She's like, how is anyone going to find this website? You know, I went and sourced a bunch of one-of-a-kind items and shot them all myself in front of my garage and had my mom take the photos. They were so janky, so bad. Didn't know Photoshop or anything. Probably similar, honestly. Pulled photos from someone else's website and put them into collage and was like, perfect, wealth tribe. And anyways, I launched the site, and I remember driving to San Francisco with my mom, and all of a sudden I use Shopify. Shopify notifications start coming up with orders, and I'm like, my mom and I are both looking at each other like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know, people love it. I don't know how they even know about it. And I guess people had been reading my blog, and I honestly didn't know. So since they were one-of-a-kind pieces, they would sell out, and I'd have to go get more. And, you know, my dad was in my ear constantly asking, so how are those resumes going? How is the job hunt? And I'm like, it's going good. It's great. Like, just waiting for some phone calls. It's like, I'm probably going to get something soon. Just putting him on the back burner. I continued to build my website, and I was addicted. I became obsessed. So in the course of trying to find what I was going to do with my career in the fashion industry, because granted I knew that's where I wanted to be, I realized that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and as soon as I had the opportunity to do everything, I became obsessed. So I worked on this day and night, and I would go into any little place in my hometown and try to do a pop-up for someone. Nail salon, hey, can I pop up my clothes here? Country club, can I pop up my clothes here? And granted, my demo was more of like an 18 to probably 25-year-old girl in college, and I'm in my hometown of like young hot moms. So it worked out because they were all like, these prices are insane, but like they're so low. You need to raise your prices. So these hot moms are buying the clothes and dropping so much money. And I'm like, oh, let's keep going. Anyways, a few months later, I moved to LA because it was either LA or New York. I'm from Danville. If anyone knows where Danville is, oh, nice. Yeah, it's a little bubble, but so you know, and if you don't know, there's no fashion industry there. It was like, nothing could happen, so I had to get out. And I told my mom, hey, I'm going to move to LA. She almost lost it because LA's rent is about 3 times San Diego State area's rent, and it's very different. So anyways, I told her, Mom, I'm going to move to LA to dress every girl for Coachella. And she was like, what's Coachella? And I was like, honestly, I don't really know. I've never been, but I just know that everyone needs to get dressed for it. And so, like, March 1st, I remember moving down to LA, or coming down, like, February 20th, and sitting in a restaurant with her, started to cry my eyes out because we had looked at apartments, and I paid, like, $600 in San Diego, and you come to LA, and it's, like, $1,300 for an apartment. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to get 14 jobs. How am I going to, like, make this happen, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so I moved down March 1st, and I ended up booking 25 pop-ups at every sorority in basically California, USC, UCLA, San Diego State, LMU, Pepperdine, UCSB, Cal Poly, you name it, to dress these girls for Coachella. And it got to the point where the guy at the front desk at the gym I went to across the street would be like, hey, you should go get dressed from this girl for Coachella out of her apartment across the street. So I have girls coming into my apartment living room just to get dressed for this festival. And they're like, so like, do you think this will look good? Or like, do you think this is good for the desert? And I'm in my head like, I have no idea. I've never even been to this festival. But yeah, I quickly learned that every girl needs an outfit for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is just money. And I'm doing it all out of my apartment living room. My poor roommate, I'm like, hey, I have 4 girls that I don't know but are coming by for like 30 pieces of clothing. Again, I'm so sorry, but I'll dress you for Coachella. And so, yeah, within a month, I essentially built my whole business and was able to keep paying rent and continue moving forward. Granted, I started with like maybe a few $100s for my graduation money. Really had a supportive family and tribe to help me get started and everything, but it was really just from wanting to connect with other women and really loving the fashion industry and trying to bring other women together to create kind of like this family like-minded feeling, which is where the word tribe comes from. Because at the end of the day, these girls out at Coachella actually would recognize that they all got dressed from the same person and brand, girl in her living room, and brought people together. So in short, that's essentially how it got started. Whole more million other stories, but yeah, start there.
Wow, give them a hand for that. I love that you ladies totally jump out of the plane not knowing if that parachute is gonna go up for you or not. I love how fearless every one of your stories down the line, every story is full of hopefulness. And when you're taking that risk, when you don't know how to build a website, you're learning. I'm gonna figure this out. You know, like that grit and that determination. I'm so inspired by that. So thank you all for being so transparent and sharing that. I want to talk about the challenges, though. You all kind of hinted at them, talked about them a little bit on some of the challenges that you face, but to get to where you are present day, on panels and things, so nice. What are some of the challenges that you face, and what's your mindset like to, because maybe like when you didn't know how to build a website 10 years ago or 5 years ago, you didn't know how to do something, has it changed for you? Do you freak out a lot less? Are you tougher, How do you handle challenges? What are those challenges, and how do you handle them present day?
Well, I think challenges differ from when you start a business to when your business is a little bit more mature. They're still just as bad, but they're different. So when you start out, obviously you have challenges of, especially in cosmetics and other things, is finding suppliers that are reliable, people that are willing to take a leap with you and actually manufacture things, even though they don't know that your line is going to go anywhere, which is a problem. Now, not so much, because the culture has changed a lot with all these kind of Instagram brands, and a lot of VC capital moving into the industry has spurred on all kinds of smaller brands just trying to see if they can make it work. So it's much more open now than it used to be, but when I started, if you really didn't have a good relationship with a manufacturer, or you had a really good business plan and you had enough money in the bank, these people wouldn't give you the time of day. They would just say, oh no, that's never going to work, just go away, and not manufacture for you. So getting those first people to kind of jump on your idea and say, yes, I'm going to go with you on this journey, was pretty hard, especially like she was saying, when you're doing something out of the box, a bit different, which we're a bit different because I come at cosmetics from a historian side, so all my things are based on items that you could find in history that I think were kind of forgotten, or we kind of lost that. And it was a good idea, but it kind of got lost somewhere in there. So I try to kind of get those things and rescue them and bring them back out so that we can rediscover them. And again, not too many people do that. I don't think too many people go into this period makeup or even looking back into historical things. But that's kind of what fascinated me about it, because I kind of thrive on this kind of discovery thing, like kind of a makeup detective type of thing. So I kind of enjoy that, but most people thought I was weird when I first told them about this. So at first you have all these challenges of trying to convince people that you actually have a good idea, or that it's worth doing. Then of course you get discouraged because things don't work out like you thought they would. When I first started, I also had a small website, but there was no Instagram or social media when I started. So really, if you didn't get a mention in a magazine or a newspaper, nobody would know about you, really. So so you had to actually get press, to get out there, and rely on word of mouth. Now, as your business gets larger, you have other challenges like finding capital to finance. And capital is always a problem, especially for women, because you go to a bank and you ask for capital, and they still don't think that women can actually run businesses as well as men. So it's harder to get larger amounts of capital, especially if it's larger amount of capital. Because if you go to a bank and you say, I need a couple $1 million, it's not the same as asking for, a few $100,000. So it gets different as you scale up. But that's kind of always the same. It's always the same for women in this industry, as it is in the film industry as well. When, as an independent women, filmmakers have the same issue trying to get capital to produce films. So actually support women filmmakers in the Oscars, please. Go see their movies. Because we need that support. That's the only way that we can make more movies, because getting capital is really one of the obstacles that all women filmmakers face in order to actually make more films after they leave school. So please support them so they can actually get validation and get the money they need to actually be considered for direction and jobs of that nature in the future. Anyways, as far as challenges, you always have challenges. Businesses change. You have challenges when you get employees. You have challenges of managing people and inspiring people, or getting people excited about what you want to do, and kind of push the business forward. So that part is also challenging as you scale a business. Also being creative and not getting down on people that maybe criticize you or don't understand where you're coming from. And with all the social media now, it's very easy for people just to put out opinions about all kinds of things that are not necessarily educated on your brand or on what you're trying to do, but it's hard to read those things and not get down on yourself, because it's really easy to take that negative criticism and really get down on yourself. So actually remembering that there's a lot of people that do like you is kind of a good technique, actually. But those are my main ones that I would say.
So I was not a businesswoman at all. I'm an artist. I was a makeup artist. I had been just doing makeup on, sets professionally, all film, TV, all of that. And so when this happened, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And I did not have a business plan. I did not have anything like that. So my kind of like, when I look back, I had money through a little bit of an inheritance, and I was just spending it wrong. And so now, once that kind of trickled away and you didn't have the money, then the challenge is trying to figure out how to keep doing it at that kind of same pace. So I highly recommend a business plan. I highly recommend a great accounting team. The other thing is that I still work on the sets. So but back then I was working like 70 hours a week. And so I really needed to rely on a team, but I didn't really hire the right people. I hired kind of some friends that, we all thought we could kind of just do this, but they were not right. And so lots of really expensive mistakes were made, which, of course, now I've learned from them. Now I can say I'm a businesswoman. Now I can, dive in. Like, I really just let people kind of do it for me because I didn't have the time. So that was definitely not good. You definitely need to be all up in it. You need to know your back end. You need to know everything. You need to know your numbers. I ended up hiring a CFO to kind of help clean me up after all these other accountants that kind of messed me up. And this guy was presenting bunches of stuff that seemed really amazing and awesome and on track, but he wasn't doing his job. Like, he hired a bookkeeper, and I was just kind of trusting the whole process because, again, I really didn't understand it or know it. And they weren't doing simple things like filing. We were paying the taxes, we weren't filing them. So, down later, and I'm not aware of this. Not to mention, he was also there to help me budget, and not just budget money, but production. So that's a really fine, hard-tuned machine to know how much to order. And even like manufacturing labs, I was trusting even them too much. At the end of the day, it's their job as a salesperson to push you as well to buy more from them because they're making a commission off of you. So with that first round, I ordered way too much product, and it was just kind of ridiculous. Then when the CFO came on board, again, we weren't, really forecasting the situation to the best, that we should have. So those were all serious, real deal, I'm being so transparent here, problems that you definitely need to have like a grip on. I was lucky in a sense too because I was a celebrity makeup artist. I did have tons of celebrities wearing the product, tons of makeup artists using the product, big shows using it. I came in just at the beginning of social media. It was really just MySpace and Facebook. This was about 11 years ago when I had just kind of started. I launched in 2011. I didn't really understand it. But I did have a PR team, which was getting us into all the magazines, the desk sides, all of that good stuff. So I now, when I look back, I think you need a combination. You can't just rely on social media. Social media is an ever-changing situation. And so you really need to think about your marketing in a broad range and who you're targeting, who your audience is. So those were all crazy challenges. And even though I've overcome so much, I have to say, like, you still have your ups and your downs, and my biggest motto lately is one step in front of the other. My right hand, I did find a great right hand who was with me for 6 years, and she had to move on, and it was like devastating. I literally thought it was like a death. And then I just realized, okay, this business is not her, you're gonna be fine. Like, just do it, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. So, there's lots of challenges, and even with success then comes even more challenges and more management, and then hiring more team that you have to stay on top of. My biggest advice is to just be all over everybody you hire. So that's a little bit of it.
Thanks. I think a lot of our challenges are probably going to be kind of similar. So I won't touch on what you guys did so well, capital raise and, the hiring, team management. I think what I'd love to speak to, because I'm living it now with like multiple businesses, and, it's exciting when you have people saying, Mexican candy chick, everything you touch turns to gold. And I'm like, thank you. People called me stupid for most of my life, and now I'm really smart. So, it's exciting to be in that place. Like, I've always known my magic. People didn't always buy into my magic till they saw the dollars roll in. Now they're like, you're a visionary. I'm like, no shit. And so, somebody please send me this video, because the people I want to put on blast, but send it to them. No, I'm kidding. I have fun with a lot of things, but I would say that when you're a creative, you're passionate about something. I think a lot of us might be some sort of artist or creative in our own right, many of us in this room probably. That is real magic. Like, that is liquid gold. When you do something really special, what I tend to do, because I learned the platform of TV, so now I do a bunch. That's like my side hustle thing. You don't really make money in TV unless you're like season 10 of The Housewives, but I didn't get that job. So, so it's a great platform, and you use all that stuff to grow. But what I would say is, your magic is, that stuff is really real. So whether you're like amazing at numbers, you're an amazing creator, you're amazing at fashion, and like you dress all the chicks at Coachella. I want to be dressed, but I'm a mom now, so I probably shouldn't go. But but yeah, I think that talent is something that you really have to preserve and know how special that is. So with that, be very careful who you let get in bed with you within business, because I kind of grew all my candy stuff. It's like, I'm a unicorn and I'm like a rainbow. And I was very feelings driven. I love feelings. And I always say that. I love feelings and it's all so great. And it is. And I'm emotional and I'm a female and I'm sensitive and that's what we are, right? But I've also learned that as businesses grow, I always say, you better find a big old pair of big, giant, sparkly balls and swing them around when you have to. And I'm so serious. Like, the bigger you get, like, people will know your magic, and then they're going to try to make you feel dumb or like you're not that magical, and like, you're like, I'm going to put you in a little box down here. I don't want you to feel too fantastic, because shit, I'm going to have to pay you more, and your stuff's going to be more valuable, and I'm going to just keep jabbing, making you feel a little insecure, like weird little candy Willy Wonka Latina chick, and I'm like, okay, and it's interesting because that's my story, but I think it would apply to a lot of stuff you guys have been through, where you're like, no, I know, it's what I do is great, but the people around us really affect, I think, our success sometimes. Like, you have to really hone in on what a badass you are and really believe it. And I still struggle every day with like, I'm a badass. No, you're not. I'm a badass. Yes, you are. No, yeah, no. Like, you're hot. You're not. You're a mom. Like, it's like whatever. So yeah, I think that circle, whatever word you use, tribe, the team, my team is like my family. They've been with me almost, oh my gosh, some of them almost a decade. We are truly like family. The culture in all my brands and company culture is everything. It's that energy, that vibe, like what you're buying into. I will say that as businesses grow, especially for women, and it's a tough conversation to have, because we're all like, women power, yeah, and we are, and I love them all about that. Like capital raising, like dealing with loans and money, you got to deal with a lot of bros that aren't going to want to give it up, and they're not going to, think you're as fantastic as you are. So there's that weird thing that you still deal with. I think the male-female dynamic. That's why you need the big sparkly balls to swing them around. But yeah, I will say that, know who you get into bed with, please. Like, I learned this in the last 2 years. I could get on the floor right now and cry so hard to all of you and pull my hair out. But I don't do that, because like you said, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a victor. I'm going to steal that on my Instagram. I hope you understand. I'm going to steal that's my Instagram post. I loved when you said that, because that's the mentality. It's now everybody's going to, wants to write the Mamba mentality. It really affected us all, what's going on. But it really struck a nerve and a chord, I think, with all of us, where it's like surround yourself with the right people. Know how incredible you are. The challenge of like overcoming self-doubt, that's a big one. So whatever you're into, whether it's the books or the motivation or just, I don't know, going kicking ass at the gym or whatever it's going to be, honing in on your magic, protecting your magic, but really the people you choose to share that with in business better be the right people. So when it's due diligence, when it's people that are going to be messing with your money or helping your money, because I didn't understand finances. I had several learning disabilities, and I was like, what am I going to do with all this money? Everyone's like, you make everything turn to gold. And I'm like, what do I do with the money? And if you're not smart about it, people will mess with your money, or people will mismanage your money, or all that money that you're making and all that hard work where you're shaking your ass and selling it and making moves and like you're doing amazing. You're like, what's happening? Like the direction of the business or the company. What is it? I never thought I'd be I would just tell you, when people talk about like raising money and business plans, I didn't have any of that. None, zero. I've learned as I've grown every year. It's just been growth. But I can say now that just be very careful. Don't let anyone hijack your magic or hijack your gifts or hijack your company, or really just the right people around is going to really matter. And if you don't, they're just going to bite you in the ass and you're going to be crying on a panel. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Very true. Yeah, man, the challenges. As a young entrepreneur and a female, there are a lot of things that I've been through. I own the company 100%. I don't have a co-founder. I bootstrapped the entire business. I studied communication, which no discredit to that major, but it taught me nothing about running a business. I never took an accounting class, finance class, never opened an Excel sheet in my life before my business. I really self-taught myself everything. And so along the way, obviously, trial and error plays a huge role in everything I've done. So there's been a lot of different challenges, but one of the more current ones I'd say is that, you know, when you start to continue to see growth and you know, there's so many different ways you can take your business when you start seeing that it's successful, especially after you've bootstrapped, if you're profitable, you have a lot of opportunities coming to you. A lot of people think that they know the best thing for you. They have a lot of opinions. I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by amazing people who are all young entrepreneurs, but we all have different goals. I'll say I'm probably one of the only females in my entrepreneurial circle. I'm surrounded by a lot of I have a few amazing female entrepreneurs in my life, and I have probably a lot more men who are building $100 million businesses and have a completely different mindset in terms of how they want to scale and grow and sell their business. And so recently for me, it's been a challenge of really understanding what I want out of my business and listening to myself and not listening to everyone else and what they think I want and what I should be doing, whether it's a private equity group coming in and saying, well, we see this from the outside and we believe you should do this, this, and this, and we think it's gonna be best for you. Obviously, you start to entertain those ideas, you know, and then you go back to your roots and you remember, wait, I started this because I love it and I don't really wanna get rid of it in a year or right now. I wanna have all the ownership, what have you. You know, people dangle so many different things in front of your face and you see so many different routes that all these people are taking that you start to ask yourself like, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? That? And it's been really challenging reminding myself and trying to figure out exactly what it is that I want. And so as I'll say, like if any of you guys decide to go start a business or if you are in a business right now, just make sure that you remember exactly what your passion is, what your vision is, like set up kind of like that plan of where you see yourself in the next maybe 5 or 10 years with yourself in the business, because so much is affected by what you're doing in your career. For me, I'm so young that it's like, you know, in 5 years, or say I want to sell my business in 3 years for, I don't know, $30 million or something. I want to have kids too. So at that point, you know, I'm going to be 30. I need to start a relationship. I need to date. I don't have a boyfriend right now. Focus on me. And there's a lot of different things that play into your life as you're in your mid-20s that are going to set you up for the rest of your life. And so you have to figure out the sacrifices that you want to make. I'll say though, no matter what, if you do start a business or not, you're gonna face challenges. It's inevitable. In fact, if you're not, then you're probably gonna fail because you're not doing anything that's making you grow more. And as I face different challenges in my life, that's what I realize as well, is that when I get to a certain point and it's hard, for me, that's what keeps me going because I love seeing the outcome of what's on the other side of that. And even if my team wants to kill me and we're all so frustrated because it's so damn hard, when we get past it and look back at it, it's some of the best memories that we've had. So if you guys face something that's really, really hard and you're going through an obstacle, just remember that there's light on the other side of the tunnel, and everything you're doing that is probably feels like the end of the world, you're gonna look back on and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, and look where we're at now, and remember when this happened or that happened. So it makes the journey, and I'm fortunate for all of the challenges, but they're rough sometimes.
Thank you so much, ladies. Now, C is for challenges. C is also for collaboration. Collaboration's a powerful tool for business owners, regardless of the industry that you are in. The right collaboration can help grow a business and help it skyrocket. And one example of an amazing collaboration is that of Besame Cosmetics and Disney. Besame Cosmetics came out with the Snow White and Sleeping Beauty collection. Wow. Let's hear about how that came to be, Gabriela, and then we'll move on to the other speakers. Talk about
Sure.
collaboration.
Well, I never actually wanted to collaborate with anybody. But my shop is in Burbank, and it happens to be pretty close to the Disney studios. So a lot of the people that work in the Disney studios happen to live in that area, so they had been to my shop a few times, and I guess they liked some of the things that they saw in there, and so one time they came in and said, "Do you want to work on Snow White?" And I said, "I don't know, maybe." But I had no idea what that involved, or what that actually, what was involved in actually working with a larger company like that. But Snow White had been one of my favorite princesses when I was little, because she was brunette and had curly hair. So I thought that she kind of embodied what I wanted to be as a princess. So I remember. So I had very fond memories of Snow White. So when they said Snow White, I said, "Oh, I don't know if I can resist Snow White." So. And the thing is, with Disney, because they asked me to do it, it wasn't that I went over there asking them. It's a different type of collaboration. It's more of an artistic collaboration than just a license. So I got a lot of access to the Disney archives, so I can go in there and see the original inks for the movie. And so all the colors that I made actually are the original 1937 inks from the film. And they actually gave me swatches of them. And I went in the lab with the swatches, and I matched every shadow to every ink color in the movie. And her lip color and all of that stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And me, as being a nerd, a history nerd, of course, you let me in the Disney archives, I'm like in heaven. So so every time I go in there, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And obviously it's full of like the ladies that run the library and all of that. They like anybody who's excited about history and things. So since I'm so excited about it, they actually let me in. So I get to go in there, and if I need anything, I just tell them, "Hey, I need this. Do you have it?" I said, "Oh, let me ask so-and-so and see if they have it in there." And so, most of the time I can get to see or photograph whatever it is that I'm working on, so I get the actual piece from the original movie, and then I can recreate what I'm doing with that. So that part is really fun. The part that's not so fun about working with larger companies is the amount of paperwork that you need to do to work with them. As you know, Disney has very, very extensive contracts. If you've ever worked with a larger company, their contracts are like, a few hundred pages long on there, protecting everything and anything under the sun. So even though you made it, they own it still. So it's that's kind of the way they work. But if it's good for you, it might still be a good idea to do it. But you're giving up a lot of your rights, because they take ownership. It's still their property. And you really need some kind of accounting help if you're going to do any collaborations with larger companies, because they're very much of a stickler about their royalties. So all of this stuff is very carefully monitored, and you need to have a person that is going to be helping you, like you have an accountant or an accounting team that can go through and give them all of the papers and all of the numbers and everything that was spent and everything that was done. All of this they need very, very detailed. And if you don't have an affinity for numbers, I don't recommend that you do it on your own. So that part is kind of a little harder. Contracts are a little harder, and so is royalty payments. Also, a lot of times, depending on who you work with the licenses, is that they all want money up front. They're not going to give you their property for you to be associated with it without them getting monies up front. So whatever it is that, let's say you have a royalty rate that you're going to pay for this character. And usually industry-wide, it's from 5 to 8 to 12%, depending on what character and what company you're dealing with. And then, so that money they calculate how much product you're going to make. So you have to know exactly what you're going to make, how much you're going to make, and then from that, they calculate what their take of that is going to be, and then they want a percentage of that up front, or half of it, or however much it is. That is up to negotiation. But, so you actually need to pay them first before you even sold a stick. So it's very, very challenging to do licensing unless you can deal with all of these things. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through to do licensing. Of course, it's very profitable. There are companies that run all of their things on licensing. Like if you look at Hot Topic, for example, they're just all licensed. Everything is licensed. That's how they run their company, and all the products are licensed products. There's a lot of other brands that all they do is license products. So that, like Loungefly, for example, is another one that all of them are licensed. So they pretty much have every license. Funko Pop, for example, which I've also worked with, all of these people, all they do is license. So they just have a kind of a churning machine of one license after another, after another, after another. But that's their business model. So it works for them. But if you are, as an individual, if you wanted to do a license, you really need to know exactly what you're getting into when you do that, because it does take a bit of capital. In a lot of time. You know, my collections usually take me about 8 months to a year to design. So it's not something that turns around rather quickly because of all the research that I do, all the production. Everything that you do with a company like Disney, for example, they have to approve every step of the way. So from your conceptual drawings to your, your components that you're going to use, to every formula, every color, everything that you're doing has to be approved. So it's a very lengthy kind of process of going through all these steps. But if you do product that is unique and different and people enjoy it, then it's worth it, because I enjoy it because of what I get as an artist out of it. It's not really necessarily the monetary side of it, but mostly because I get to work with all these people and I get to look at these original cells and original art, and it's just to me it's very rewarding to do that, and I enjoy it tremendously, because if not, I probably wouldn't spend a year designing this stuff. And most other people don't, actually. They take a character, they put it on something, and then they move on. I actually find original artwork from the time the movie was released, and I use that artwork, and it's a long, drawn-out thing. But I don't want to use the same artwork that everybody else has used. I want to use my own artwork. So usually I make my own artwork, and then I have Disney approve it and put it into their archive. Or I find original artwork from that time that the movie was made and repurpose it or reuse it for my collections. But that's kind of basically how that started out. Now I do a collection with them pretty much every year. I do different ones. I do the D23 Expo, if you've ever been in Anaheim. It's a really cool expo with everything Disney. It's kind of like a Comic-Con for Disney only, and they do it every 2 years in the Anaheim Convention Center. So next year will be the next D23, and we usually have a booth there with our collection that we do for the year, and those are really fun shows. So I enjoy that part of it. As far as Disney, but I also collaborated with studios as well. I work with Universal, Warner Brothers, CBS Television. I mean, all kinds of studios, and those are different because I get to work with, instead of animation, real people. So I do collections for real artists, and those are kind of a lot more fun because they deal with women and things in the past, but also very glamorous women from the past.
Ladies, Melanie, Jackie, Demi, have you had any collaborations with, or any collaborations you would love to have? Can you speak on that?
I did a collaboration with Sandra Deluxe, who's an Instagrammer, and she really elevated my business, actually. Do I want to always do a collaboration? No. But it was definitely fun, and I was lucky because she really loved my product genuinely. She came across me at a trade show one time, and just got the products in her hands, and she's just a beautiful girl who also suffers from psoriasis and eczema. And so she found that my product did not inflame the situation. So she just started using it completely organically, not paid at all, using it constantly. And one day we were chatting, and I just said it would be kind of fun to do a shade, and she just jumped on it. And thank God, she kind of moved forward without her management team, because let me tell you, that just gets so annoying. Let me tell you, and talk about the paperwork and the contracts and all that stuff. So I was a little lucky, because also usually with like an influencer of that degree, there would be a lot of upfront, but she was just so excited, and it was her first collaboration that it really kind of happened organically, and it really did elevate me in that Instagram and demographic. I also did a collaboration with Ehud, who is a Kuwaiti celebrity as well. We did one last year, and we're getting ready to launch another one. And that was awesome because, again, she wanted it. She really wanted it really bad. And I was able to really kind of make some great money off of that one. And it was, again, just kind of easy. It was exclusive. I don't even sell it. They just sell it exclusively in that region. And I do have one that's going to happen again probably next year. But I personally also want to keep my brand branded just Melanie Mills Hollywood as well. I think it's such an awesome collaboration that you did, because it just like totally flows. It's so cool. But yeah, they're great. They're challenging. It was fun. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of how collaborations might apply to you guys and all the different things that you're doing. I'll just try to keep mine short and sweet. But I do candy, right? So when you're the candy queen, it's like, well, it doesn't have to also just be candy. In Candytopia, we created this Instagrammable, immersive experience, and like Instagrammer's paradise, and we call ourselves a mini theme park too, because like there's a marshmallow pit with 500,000 marshmallows that like every.
So hard to get out of.
Oh yeah, you came. Did you come? Did you go? Oh, yeah. Well, the exciting part, we're actually coming back to LA, so we'll be back here, you guys, in a few months. And LA, New York, Chicago, our next locations. So that'll be fun. I'll probably see you guys all there. Just hit me up on Instagram. I give all the tickets away for free. My partners get pissed about it. I don't care. So yeah, what I would say is, people now love, like, oh my God, like what you guys have done, this reimagined Candy Wonderland is so cool, because it's also really sexy and fun and vibrant, and we tapped into the sweet spot where everybody wants to hit the chick demographic, like get all the moms and all the like millennials and everybody to buy tickets, and how did you hit it? And I'm like, because whatever, I just figured it out. Yeah, people want to collaborate, like your Red Vines, your candy brands. I did like a cool TV show with Hershey's, and they wanted to fund it. And it was like creating this like chocolate. Well, I'm probably not allowed to say any of this, but oh well. So yeah, like we'll see if that show sells. But we did a really cool collaboration with Gucci in New York for Harper's Bazaar. That was really fun, and they used all the backdrops of Candytopia and our like imagery and like the graphics, and we have like this forced graphic. It looks like you're falling in Alice in Wonderland's tunnel, and it was just very cool. When I could finally afford Gucci, I was like, this is amazing. There's still a side of me that's like, I can't buy it, but whatever. But no, it was great. So yeah, I think with whatever it is that you do, kind of be open. I don't want to also be just in this candy box, which is you're just candy all day long, candy. And I'm like, no, but you could do like fashion spin-offs, like the Gucci thing. People hit me up about makeup. They're like, you seem to love makeup, and I was like, of course, and Botox as well. So, and maybe I did my lips recently, whatever. So, but yeah, I think really, I take my brands into like all the stuff that I love as a, I'm also considered like this like personality, I guess is the word. I am kind of like a tough girly girl, and love color and fun and all those things. So it's been very interesting to see the different brands out there say, hey, we should do like collabo. Like, and I'm like, when am I gonna be like a rapper? Because I think I could be good at that too. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things I think you can do with what you're doing, hitting people up on Insta, on social. If there's synergy and alignment, you'd be surprised that people are like, this is really like good for both of our brands. And when I think relationships have to be, synergistic. When everybody wins, that's a great relationship. And that's one of my favorite things to say. Everybody wins. We all deserve to win. But yeah, so it's, think out of the box maybe with your collaborations. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, just to touch on that, the synergy is really important because sometimes you personally might really like another brand, but it doesn't go with your brand that you're creating. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that the brands you're bringing together are parallel, have some similar mission or branding, aesthetic, whatever it might be, just complementary. In terms of collaborations I've done recently, we just came out with a capsule collection for one of the Bachelor girls, Lauren Burnham, who won with Ari. I'm sure if you guys watch Bachelor, you know. So she did a really fun spring collection. I know I touched on us dressing for Coachella, but we actually are a complete lifestyle fashion brand and have accessories, dresses, shoes, hats, literally everything. So we did a 5-piece collection with her, which was really interesting and turned out amazing. It launched last week. It was really successful, and it was nice because for us, our demo is about 21 to 35, and her demo is about the same, and if not a little bit older, so introduces some of the little bit different demographic to us, which was really powerful. And then we also have done brand collaborations with other brands. So we did, I designed a shoe with Matisse. I don't know if you guys know who that is. You know them? Yeah, so I designed a shoe with them. We had 2 styles that were exclusive to 12th Tribe, sold out 4 times. I don't really know how that happened, but that was sick. And we're gonna do another one probably with them for fall. And yeah, we definitely have a blend of partnerships with like the influencer-facing collaborations, and then also the other designers that we work with as well, just to keep it a little bit interesting.
Wonderful. Awesome, ladies. So we've talked about the common traits successful women share. The first is surrounding yourself with successful women, which we've accomplished here today. Let's talk about other traits that each entrepreneur should have in order to succeed, in your opinion.
I think to be a good entrepreneur, you have to be willing to take risk. You have to not necessarily welcome risk, because it's not really true that entrepreneurs are risk takers, because we take calculated risks. You just have to be willing to do that. If you're uncomfortable with risk, then probably get a job somewhere else that gives you a salary, because being in business is a constant risk. Because you really don't know if tomorrow you're going to make money or you're going to lose money. So you're constantly dealing with risky situations. So one of the traits is that you have to be okay with that. You can't be a nervous wreck about risk, because it's just all around you, just to run a business. And you have personnel issues, you have payroll issues, you have all kinds of issues. So you have to be okay with that. The other thing, I think you need to be persistent. You have to know that you feel that your path is okay, that you know what you want to do, and you can't let other people dissuade you from that. You just have to keep going and just do it again and again and again, and just keep trying until you get it. You have to be persistent, because you're going to encounter a lot of people that say no. A lot of situations that are going to say, okay, I give up. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm done. So you have to be able to pick yourself up and go at it again and say, okay, that was bad, but I know there's some good in this situation. I just have to keep myself going and get up and go at it again. So don't let yourself feel defeated. That's really the main thing, is remember what your goal is and just go at it, and don't let yourself feel defeated because you run into issues, because it's just part of life. Issues are going to happen. It's just the way it is. You know, there are good things and there are bad things, and if you only had good things, then you wouldn't know that it's a good thing if you didn't have bad things to remind you of what a good thing is. So it kind of balances each other out. You kind of need both. Because then when you have those highs, you really go, oh, wow, that was awesome. I can't believe we did that. But you have to compare that to the really lows to appreciate those highs. So I think you need to keep that in mind as an entrepreneur. And always surround yourself with people that are positive. You don't surround yourself with people that are always looking at the bad side of things. You know, you need that positivity. You need the people that are going to push you forward, not hold you back. And there's a lot of those people. And sometimes they don't mean to do it. That's just the way they are, you know. So you have to recognize that in other people and then distance yourself from those people when you're trying to actually work on a project or do your business, because they might not mean to hold you back, but that's what they're doing. They're kind of dissuading you from pursuing what you should be doing, you know. So get away from those distractions and focus. That's oh wow. Oh, okay, well that's a problem. Well, don't have them in your business. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, don't have them in your business. If your partner is not supportive, if he's not supportive, then you have to distance yourself and then do your business in your own time. Well, men will tend to do that. That's just the way they are. They're wired that way. They just want to solve things. Yeah. It's just the way they're wired. They're wired to just resolve. They can't let a situation be unresolved. They need to resolve. And nothing gets resolved very quickly. Sometimes things have to work themselves out, and you have to let them work themselves out. So it's not like you can solve this now. You can't sometimes. So men don't understand that. They're very defensive, and they get weary of these things. And they're not risk takers, a lot of men either. They like to be very secure. And obviously, it's they have to run a household. A lot of times they want to be the caretaker and be secure. So just distance yourself. Do your business get a little office somewhere, share a space with somebody else, and then just go there and to do your stuff. And then when you come home, you don't talk about it, and that's it. But yeah, you have to do it that way if you want to move something forward that other people are going to be, saying things that are not going to help you. Distance yourself from that. But that's what I've learned in all these years that I've been in business is really that. And have people that you trust. You need people that you can trust, but trust and check too. Not just trust, but trust people, but then double check that they actually did what they're supposed to be doing. Because a lot of people will say they do the things and then they actually don't. So it's a smart thing to actually assign people things and then make sure that those people are actually doing that, because there are a lot of people that will come into your life and promise a lot of stuff and then not deliver it. So that's one of the lessons that I've learned throughout the years.
Story, like creating a story for your brand is really important. A lot of people, what should I do? Well, what is your passion? What do you love to do? Well, I like skincare. Okay, well, what about the skincare? What do you want to improve upon? What do you want to make different? And I think that is a big mistake with people, even with like private label, just kind of like just slapping their name on something just to have something, but there really isn't a background or a story. So I happen to have the Dancing with the Stars story. I happen to be a makeup artist and have been involved in makeup and all of that, for years. So it kind of naturally evolved, but you still really have to have that brand story. And I absolutely agree with everything she said as well. And it is so important to surround yourself with great people, but you know, your aesthetic is very important. Your personal aesthetic, the way you present yourself is important. All of the facets that you're going to lay out and publicly lay out all need to kind of make sense. And like I have a few different demographics. I've got my young Instagram demographic. Then I have my mature ladies, actually, that just want to look youthful and fabulous. You have to know how to cater to that demographic and how to tell those stories without really getting it confused. Even I tell just people that want to be makeup artists too. Another thing is say you do have that good story. You don't have to just like go in with a huge bang. You can start with something very small. I have a lot of people that say like, well, I really want to be a makeup artist. What do I do? You know what? Do it. Start doing it. Buy the tools, take some classes, get yourself a business card, start applying makeup on your mom, your friends, everybody you can. Start taking pictures, start calling yourself a makeup artist, start believing in yourself. I think that all of that is really important as far as building a brand.
Can you tell me the question again, please?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
The question is, let's talk about traits that entrepreneurs should have in order to
traits.
succeed.
Yeah, I think one consistent factor, any kind of powerhouse entrepreneur, is big sparkly balls. It's that encompasses toughness, resilience. I always say like timing, patience, persistence, all these things that are really, really hard. This stuff is really, really hard, but if you have something special and you have enough grit and those big balls, you're gonna get there eventually. So, but like I wouldn't also waste time on if nobody's buying it or believing in it, or you're not. It's like, it's gotta be something that I think people want. Listen to the consumer. People go, how did you know people were gonna like big giant sculptures made out of candy? Because it's so crazy. Because I would study how everybody reacted to my stuff. And the reaction was so big and magical and like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen, lady. And I would say, yeah, someone's gonna pay a lot of money for this one day. So, that's like my stuff tends to be just inner, like, don't ignore reality. A lot of, like, I've also met people that are like, I have this amazing idea and it's this tool that's like a da-da, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, does anybody buy it? Does anybody use it? Does anybody need it? Does anybody want it? How much is it? And the answers are all like, no, I just thought I liked it. And I was like, you might want to go back to the drawing board, because you got to test your market, right? You have to test your market, and if you do a little testing, a lot of times at the beginning too, you got to give your stuff away for free. I was the queen of freebies. That fake website that I built, I was giving that shit away for free. Hire us for your parties, and you have to get exposure, and so it's all that, it's all that you guys get it. Just be tough, keep going.
Yeah, being relentless is definitely important. If you fall down, you got to get up and like run faster than you were before. I would say patience is definitely a strong trait that you need to have to start a business. In this day and age, we all want and do get things pretty quickly. Amazon delivers in like a day. Wi-Fi is really, really fast. If it doesn't work, we're like dead. So understanding that amazing things take a lot of time. In fact, if you do something really quick and it's an overnight success, the longevity of it might not really be there. So it's really worthwhile just taking the time to see it through and do it properly and be okay with something not going off overnight. Just because it doesn't happen right away doesn't mean it won't happen. In fact, if you give up and you stop trying, then it won't happen. That's literally the only way something isn't going to come through. So just being patient and reminding yourself that is really important. I'm guilty of not being patient, and it's caused me a lot of errors and frustration for myself, other people, and so just making sure you remind yourself, as cliche as it is, a slow and steady wins the race. It really does. You'll, especially in this day and age too, there's a lot of companies that want to raise a lot of money, grow really fast, and sell it or not sell it and just grow really fast. You'd be surprised how many companies aren't making a cent just because they want to grow and spend so much money so fast, and the quality of their business actually isn't there. So just be patient. Yeah.
Beautiful. At this point, at this stage in your careers and your businesses, rather, I'm sure you get this a lot, where people are asking for advice or help consistently. They see your success, or I see that that's working for you, and I think I want to do that because Melanie Mills, you've built this makeup empire. I think I could learn how to be a makeup artist because you've done that, or I see you over there with you're with your dream. You were relentless. You built an empire from candy. Maybe I could build something from, I don't know, go to Hobby Lobby and get buttons, and maybe I'll do the button thing, So, for someone who, sees your success, trying to navigate through their purpose in this lifetime, through what they're supposed to be doing, what advice do you have for that entrepreneur that is still right at the cusp of figuring things out?
Well, I think you need to figure out what you want to do. It's like looking at other people is great for inspiration, but you're not Melanie Mills. So you can't build what she built because she's her, and you're not her. So if you made the same product that she did, you wouldn't be probably as successful as she is because she's got a reason for making this product that you do not. So you have to figure out what the reason is for what you want to do. And do you have a good reason for that? And do you think other people will like whatever it is that you're going to do? Because if they don't, then you won't be able to make that monetarily successful. So I think you need to figure out first what it is that not only are you good at, but what do you want to do? Because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. So you better really love it, because building a business takes a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of man hours. So you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. So if it's something that isn't really something you're passionate about or you believe in or somehow excites you in one way or another, it's going to be miserable for you, because you're going to have to spend night and day on this stuff that you really don't like that much. Like, for example, if I went and started to sell vitamins, I don't really love vitamins. So I wouldn't be really good at it, and I would probably hate every minute that I'm working on making vitamins. So I wouldn't advise somebody to do that if that's not what really excites them. So I think first you have to find what it is that you're good at, what it is that you actually want to do with your time, because you're going to spend a lot of it on it. And then what do you want to achieve with this? Do you want to make enough money to live comfortable? Do you want to grow the company and then sell it for money and get out? Do you want to keep this company forever and leave it to your kids? Do you want to, marry somebody and share that company with that other person and keep going, or get another partner? What did you see for yourself as your lifestyle? And how is this company going to support the lifestyle that you want? Do you like to travel all the time? Well, what career or what kind of product would allow you to do that all the time? So think about all these things, because you're building a life, not just a company, because the company is part of your life, really. It takes over. It really, I can't divide myself out of the company anymore. It's like, it's part of us, basically. It's not like I can turn it off and just like, okay, I'm not working now. It's always in here. So you have to kind of find something that will fulfill you in a way, and will create a life for you. So think about that when you think of what you want to do. Is what does my life look like, and how does this help me in what I want? And I think that's where you're going to get the best ideas, because you're going to want to do that. It's not going to be a chore for you. So I think that would be my best advice. Also, research before you put money down on anything. Don't just put money on stuff that you're not sure about. If you're going to hire a person, or you're going to hire a lab to do something for you, or anybody to do anything for you, research that really carefully before you put the money down. Make sure that you're making the right decision before that, because mistakes can be really, really costly. So make sure that the partners that you associate with are people that are actually reputable and are going to deliver what they promise and are going to do what they said. So be really careful with that. And then be careful be really careful with your money. Budget really carefully. Don't spend on frivolous stuff at the beginning because you don't need it. You know, spend on things that are critical, that are going to move that company forward, but not all this, like you don't need a fancy office when you first start. So don't spend money on that. Don't spend money on things that the customer will never see, you know, because the customer's not going to know that you're in your bedroom and you have your computer in your bed. The customer doesn't care. They just want their dress. They just want their candy, or whatever it is. They don't care where you are operating from. So don't spend money on things that are not critical. At a certain point, you will have to spend money on it, but don't do it at the beginning. You know, so think about your expenditures. Don't spend on outwardly stuff that doesn't actually do anything for you. So those are probably my main ones that I would say.
What was the question again?
What advice you would have for entrepreneurs who are starting out?
Yeah, I mean, all of that was just really great advice for sure. Just have the passion, know that this is going to take over your life, as you know, this is your baby, and you just, yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of said over and over tons of advice, and I agree with her 100%. And yeah, I've been knocked off 1,000 times as far as like, hey, can I go out and just do what she's doing? And I thank those people because they've just brought more business my way, opening up the market, because my market right now is very niche. But have a vision, have a plan. I strongly advise to have a business plan, a financial plan, a budget. I strongly advise to, when you hire in the people around you, that you do your research and that you check. That I made a lot of those mistakes. Accounting is so important, money is so important, and just, you know, having a plan with a vision, definitely.
Yeah. I'll just say, I think that if you're going to try to do something and you want to sell it and make money at it, the authenticity of what you're doing and that voice is so important. Passion, energy, magnetism. When you know your stuff and you get in a room and you light it up, no one can sell it better than you. So when you know, as creators, that is a very authentic story and voice. I always tell people, hold on to that. Don't let somebody come steamroll that or tell your story for you. Nobody is going to be able to sell the sparkle like you. So that, you know, my things just tend to be like the voice, the authenticity, passion, the magnetism is how stuff gets sold, right? So when people are like, oh my God, you're like the real damn deal. No shit. And then they buy it and you got to check. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just, you know, stay true to the voice.
One other thing. When you're starting also, I want to say I think that trade shows and events like these are really important because you're going to know right off the bat if you're going to be able to sell your stuff because you're going to see right away the reaction. So I do think, like, get out there, even in small groups. Just get it out there and start to judge and see your reaction.
Yeah.
And on that note too, when you're starting, you're not above anything. So you clean the floors, you wipe the windows, and you do every single thing. If you think you're above that, getting your feet in the door with something, stop right now and just leave and like move on, because I'm the one cleaning dishes in our office and unplugging a toilet or whatever needs to happen and moving boxes, and you have to really be willing to roll your sleeves up and get anything done. When I first started out of my apartment, it was just myself, and I would be carrying like 12 boxes down flights of stairs, and everyone past me was like, you are actually insane. And I'm like, yeah, just wait till you see me shove it all in my car and have a boutique in the back. Like, I don't know what it's gonna look like, and I probably just like rolled my ankle, but whatever. You have to literally be willing to do anything. So when you get started on whatever you end up doing, just remember you need to do it all.
Well, let's give a hand for our amazing panel today. You all have offered so much insight, you know, so much help for the entrepreneur and all of us. I've learned so much today, not only from our first panel, also our second panel today. It's been amazingly well.